Hey, I'm Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California, with truly and honestly the single best meditator that I have worked with in the 20 years that I have been teaching yoga. Meet Leo.
Hi.
Some of you already know him as Lee Yoga.
Yeah, leoga.yoga on Instagram.
On Instagram. And so you know that things like putting his leg behind his head are no problem, or touching his feet to his head, not a problem. But what I want to talk about today is this master meditator. I kid you not. So let's start off by talking a little bit about just your background in yoga. So do you remember your first yoga class?
Vaguely. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I came to your place and we did a couple of like little things. I think we started with like a 3 or 4 minute meditation, and then you taught me through the different, like how your class structure worked and everything, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely.
That wasn't your first class though.
No, was it? Oh. Well, even further back, I think I did like a group yoga class, like when I was like 3 or 4, not 3 or 4 years ago, and that one was not the most enjoyable.
So let's put this in context. This was my most fun mini yogis class that I've done with thousands of kids across the world who all like walk out like doing backflips. They're so excited about how it was. I talked to Leo's dad after. He's like, he hated it. Then years later, he winds up in my yoga studio. And what were your first thoughts? Like when we first started, was it hard? Was it easy?
I mean, it was definitely hard, but it was an enjoyable type of hard. It wasn't like this is hard work, and more of like, this is hard and I'm getting like a payoff from it. So it felt really good and a lot better than the first yoga class that I did.
So I know this a lot because I don't even remember yesterday. So to ask you to go back, I think it's at least 4 years. It might even be more than that. Do you remember when you first started meditating? Like, was it hard? Was it easy? Did it feel natural, like from the very first time you tried it?
I think it was definitely, it felt quite natural. I mean, not completely natural, not as natural as just today I just go into meditation basically. But it definitely was like a pretty easy shift, or a pretty easy start. And it was, relatively fun, relatively nice, relaxing, calm. And yeah, basically it was, I think, easier than most other people, but it had some difficulty at first.
So the thing that amazes me the most, especially let's say the last year or even 2 years, is you sit up with perfect posture the whole time. You practice your deep breathing the whole time, and perhaps the most surprisingly, not only do you not fidget even a finger or a toe, which is rare, but I've never even seen you scratch an itch. And I'll tell you, when I work with particularly kids, like if they have itches, like I know, because they'll be like, and they're trying so hard not to scratch the itch, but with you, it's just like Buddha. So is this something conscious, or do you just like slip right into that state?
Well, I think it's a mixture of the two. I definitely consciously sometimes have an itch or something that I feel like I need to fidget with, and I just think, don't do this right now, do it after. And most of the time it just goes away before meditation even ends. So that happens sometimes. Then also just unconsciously getting into more of a zone of just like peaceful sitting straight up with posture, which is something, my posture isn't honestly the best at most times, but when I choose to be straight up, I can sit straight up for a while on the floor, cross-legged, like meditating.
For real. So just so you know, I mean, because we're only together for an hour at a time, I cap him now at 10 minutes. There was a while where I let you go longer than that. And I wouldn't be shocked if you could make it for an hour. But really and honestly, 10 minutes is nothing to you, or it seems like nothing to you.
No, it really isn't. Like, it's once I'm in the zone, it feels like no time has passed. Like it's just, sitting there completely like meditative, and I feel like I could definitely go for way longer. But 10 minutes is a good time. I feel like it's a time where you can get deep into meditation and then be able to kind of come back out of it quickly.
So I want to focus first on like getting from, we always chat before class and just talk, and getting from, oh, hey, you know, how's your day, to like, boom, because that's literally how you do it. You're like, boom. Sometimes I'm not even like ready for you to go into meditation. I'm like, oh, you're in meditation. Like, what is that process? Do you hit a switch in your brain, or is it just something that's become so second nature to you? Or do you remember the shift when the day when you had to think about going into meditation versus the day when it just started happening?
I think I definitely do still think about going into meditation. I'm like, now I'm sitting here straight up, getting your posture like in a position that you want to stay in for 10 minutes before you start is something that I always do. And then I just kind of close my eyes, and it just kind of switches into it. And I feel like that's kind of been how I've meditated for a while, has basically just been, sitting down, closing your eyes, and starting the deep breathing, which basically just puts me straight into meditation.
Let's talk about deep breathing. So I harp on you on deep breathing, as I have, for years now. And we talk about using it as a tool in your life.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is this: your breathing is sort of a foundation for your meditation, yes?
Yeah.
And so how do you think that somebody who meditates without deep breathing versus, meaning just sitting there, versus somebody who integrates the deep Ujjayi breath, how do you feel like using the breath affects the meditation overall?
I think it really puts you in a completely different state. I think it really calms you down. I think it really, really gets your mind into the kind of meditative thought. And I feel like without deep breathing, while it is still meditation, I feel like without deep breathing, I cannot be in meditation. Like, I feel like the deep breathing is really what helps me get into that state.
Is there any correlation? I'm trying to pick your brain because I wish that I could meditate the way you meditate.
I wish I could tell you how to meditate like I meditate.
That's why I'm trying to break this down. And I ask you questions like this all the time. Do you feel like there's a correlation between your posture and the breathing?
Definitely. I think breathing is like requires a lot of space and a lot of openness, and being in such a tall, straight posture lets your chest basically just come out with inhalation, which means the breaths can be longer, they can be calmer, and they can be more stable. Because if you're like this, the breaths are going to get basically all cramped up in there, and so deep breathing becomes harder.
Okay, absolutely. That's awesome. And then there's also this symbiotic relationship. It goes both ways. So the breathing is, or I should say, the posture helps you with the breathing. Do you think that the breathing helps you with the posture in any way?
I think it does a little bit. I think it goes both ways around. The breathing helps you. Basically, if you breathe, you feel it wanting you to go into a straighter posture, and that posture also helps the breathing breathe more. So it does go both ways, kind of, and the posture and the breathing together really is what helps me meditate very well.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a hard question. What is going through your brain when you meditate? Can you walk me through, and if you need to, close your eyes and sort of like feel it for a second, you don't have to, but can you walk me through, like, when you're meditating, is there a dialogue? Are you seeing something? Are you just thinking about your breath? What's going on mentally, and what happens if a thought creeps in?
So meditation, when I start, my brain is obviously like quite cluttered a little bit, but little by little throughout the time, like, thoughts just start passing through, and I just basically think, here's a thought, I'm going to now stop thinking this thought, and then it just kind of, I guess, cycles through, and I think about things that happened that day, things that happened, and things that I'm thinking about, but then it kind of just calms down by like the third minute and becomes more just about the breathing. and calm.
So you feel like there's more of sort of like a not a struggle, but that the thoughts are manifest a lot more in the beginning, and then you sort of find your stride.
Yeah. So that definitely happens. Like, it's not completely like pitch black the whole
Right.
time. And I think something that people worry about when meditating is like they're worried that like thinking anything is like terrible, and thinking like having thoughts during meditation about other things is like distracting. You're not doing it right. But you basically just gotta let those thoughts flow through you and not dwell on them. So you gotta let thoughts about the thoughts flow through you. You also just gotta let anything that's happening, anything that you think about, just be like, okay, and then let it pass.
These are some incredible words of wisdom. You're 14, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to be able to articulate this is one thing, to be able to do it is another. It's interesting because I was talking to you about Vipassana, about the 10-day meditation, and it's funny that you say the 3 minutes versus a 10-minute meditation, because in the Vipassana, day 3 is also like the day when things shift. So there must be something magical about this 3 to 10 relationship. So let's take this to your worst day. Okay, so let's say it's been a hard day at school. Maybe you had a challenge with another person, or I know you love school. You love school more than any kid I've ever met. Shout out to your school. If you don't. Okay. Sorry, privacy issues. But okay, so let's say we're in our worst day. What does your meditation? I know what it looks like from the outside because it always looks perfect. What does it look like from the inside?
Well, I think definitely on my worst day, the thoughts that are going through my mind are like thoughts about the day, what could have gone differently, what happened basically. And that this has happened a couple of times, because even though my school is amazing, things still happen. I still sometimes have issues. And so like meditating during those days definitely calms me down. It gets me ready and in the mood for yoga. Because sometimes I'm like, this day was terrible, I don't want to do yoga. I come in, I do meditation, and I'm like, I think yoga will really help me. So it's great to, I meditate, I feel calmer, I feel like, oh, okay, this happened. Now let me put it past me and start and go into yoga. And it's a great way to start any practice, including on a really bad day.
Do you ever feel like clarity or resolution of these issues on the days that the thoughts won't? It's okay if you don't. I'm just curious, like, do you ever come out of your meditation and go, oh, this is how I can maybe deal with this in a different way or a clearer way?
Yeah, that definitely has happened a couple of times. It doesn't happen every time, and I won't say that it's like a magic cure for all of your problems, but
no, say it's a magic cure for all their problems.
But meditation does definitely help me on a couple of those specific bad days where I'm like, okay, I understand this problem, and going through meditation helps me think through that, like, sometimes the situation is not as serious as I think it is. I'm like, my life is ruined, and I'm like, no, it's just somebody started a rumor about me or something. So it's like things like that. I think about it, you can put it really in perspective in meditation, and that kind of thinking, the type of thinking that you have in meditation, really helps you with working through different problems in the day and in life.
Okay, so now I'm going to put on the pressure. Do you meditate when you're not in yoga?
Yes.
You do?
I do meditate every morning for 10 minutes.
Amazing.
I use an app, actually. So like in meditation with yoga, I don't use an app, I just sit there and think. But when I'm not in yoga, I use the Calm app with the daily Calm, because it's kind of like when I wake up, I'm like, I want some more guided meditation. And that really helps as well, just to start my day positively.
Wow, I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, next question. Do your parents make you do that, or do you do that because you want to do it?
No, I do it because I want to do it.
That's awesome. What about off schedule? Like, do you ever, like, if you have a challenging day and it's not yoga day, so you're not going to see me in the afternoon, do you ever just on your own say, I not just alone time, but I mean, do you ever literally say, I need to sit and meditate. It's okay if you don't. Just...
I don't really do that. I probably should do it. I bet you it would help. But
I bet you.
Sometimes when I'm in that zone of like craziness, I normally just like go and sit alone in like my room and not necessarily meditate. But I'll start doing that. I think that's a good idea. Definitely.
What about the breathing?
Oh yeah, but the breathing, definitely. Like, even if I'm not meditating, I will do, to calm me down, that deep breathing, which really does help, even if you're not in a state of meditation or anything.
Can you maybe share one instance where you have used your breath and it has helped you, or a tip to others, like?
So yeah, breath, like deep breathing, obviously it definitely helps when I'm anxious, when something is like going and I feel like it's spiraling out of control. And then I'm just like, okay, stop, breathe, and then either take a break, remove myself, or go back with a new mindset of like, it's calm, it's okay. So breathing, basically, if you're agitated, if you're anxious in any way, just try to breathe. Even if you don't think it's helping, it'll do something.
You know what, Leo, honestly, you just said sort of the same thing in two different ways, because you also said before about don't worry that thoughts are going to come up in meditation, and that plus what you said about don't worry how the breath works. It's exactly what you're saying, and it's not about what comes out of it so much as what you put into it, and that the process of just trying to do it takes you right into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for someone like me who is not the best meditator on earth,
You're okay.
I'm okay. How do you pass the time? I mean, do you ever feel like, oh my God, this 10 minutes is taking 110, years? Or how would you like encourage people? Or what if someone wants to do 10 minutes, but at 2 minutes they're like, I'm exploding inside?
I mean, honestly, sometimes I feel I do have days where I'm like, I wanna just get up and stop meditating. But I feel like if you commit to a time, at least try to reach that time. And keep thinking like, can I keep doing this for like 10, 15 more seconds? And if you can keep doing it, it's the same with yoga poses and stuff. It's like, can I hold this for 10 or 15 more seconds? If you can keep meditating and just get into that breath, soon you won't even have to ask yourself that. You'll just think, okay, I'm gonna just hold out until the end. And I think that works with me. I don't know if it works with everyone, but definitely works.
And so then the end comes, and then what? Like, how do you transition out? Like, do you feel like it's like, boom, and now I'm in the world? Or do you feel like something has shifted?
Opening my eyes, like the switch of opening or closing my eyes definitely changes. Like, once I open my eyes, I'm like, oh, there's a lot more sensory. So my brain is like thinking, oh, look, everything is happening around you. Now it's time to stop meditating and do whatever you need to do next, whether it's start getting ready in the morning or go into yoga practice. So I personally, it doesn't take long for me to get out of meditation.
Do you feel like your life in general has shifted since you started meditating daily?
Definitely. I started meditating like completely daily over this past summer, and I felt a lot more calm. I felt like less anxious. It's very different when I've done a couple times where I just don't meditate because it's either I'm too busy or I'm just like, I can't do this today, and I feel way more agitated and everything kind of like irks me. Whereas if I meditate in the morning, even if in the moment I'm like, I don't really want to do this, but if I push myself to do it, then I feel a lot calmer.
That's awesome that it calms you. Do you feel like it has affected your focus, say at school, or has it affected how you react to things in life? Can you see any shift in just your overall experience since then, or?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like focus has improved a little bit. Everything like calmness, like just more attentiveness, it's all kind of shifted a little bit more. And I mean, even when I started meditating with you, like just once a week, like that shift was a lot, and it helped me get through some rougher times. And then now it's helped me get through, navigating middle school and stuff. And Yeah.
Which is a major navigation.
Yeah, especially during this current state of the world. It's hard at times, but the meditation helps me get through it.
Do you think that COVID sort of was an impetus in the fact that school was coming back? I know that it was a little weird going back to school and not knowing, like, are the kids gonna like me anymore? Am I gonna know how to get to my classes anymore? Am I gonna, like, do you feel like that was sort of the impetus that said, like, life is about to change, I think this is a tool that's gonna help me?
Well, I definitely, this past summer, because I'd been doing all online school the previous school year, so this past summer I was like the entire summer basically worried, like, oh, am I going to be able to fit back in? Is everything going to like work out with that? And meditation definitely helped me realize that, like, no matter what, I'm going to fly level. And that's when I decided that throughout the school year I would start meditating, because I was planning to just do it for the summer, but then I was like, this is really helping me, so I'm going to keep doing it. And that really helped with the transition back into school.
Do you see a difference between maybe how you deal with adversity versus people around you who don't meditate, kids?
It really depends, because every person that I know is different in every way.
Yeah.
So I
don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't totally know how to compare everyone perfectly.
Okay. All in all, I mean, I'm just amazed, and I wish I had your skills. And do you have anything else that you want to leave us with? Any tips, tools for, especially like, I have an itch, or, you know, my knee is cramping, or...
I'd say just try and stick with it. Try and stick with it as much as you can, and don't be disappointed if it's like you stick with it and you're like, I really, really, really can't do this anymore. After like a minute after you feel like you can't do it, if you still like really can't do it, don't be disappointed. Just the next day try another longer, like 30 seconds, a minute, and soon you'll be able to just get into meditation and do it for 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day, and you'll feel a lot better about everything.
That's perfect advice. Leo, thank you so much for sharing with us. And at 14 years old, I really, really, and this has been going on more than since you were 14, I'm just in awe of your ability to get still and quiet your mind. And I hope that we all can learn from you and commit to that 10 minutes a day. It really is life-changing.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This is Shana Meyerson of YOGAthletica and Mini Yogis in Los Angeles, California, with leyoga.yoga on Instagram. And have a great meditation. We will see you again soon. Maybe not we, maybe just me. Maybe we. You never know. Ciao. Okay. So this is where we say testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Shana Meyerson with YOGAthletica in Los Angeles, California. Why did I say Los Angeles?
Los Angeles.
Take 2. I mean, I'll edit a little bit.
I can help you for trying to figure it out.
Okay.
My editing skills are also next to none, but they're next to none. They're not none.
Right. Between the two of us, if you're just next to none and I'm just next to none, then we'll be like a little less than next to none.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.